rolling in the 2019 BMW X5. This is always been a phenomenal on-road luxury crossover, but for 2019 they really wanted to up its off-road game, and so they've done a lot of things. The dual axle air suspension allows it to raise and lower upwards of 40 millimeters. In addition to the air suspension, the X5 also has all-wheel steering, so when you're driving at low speeds like this, it's more maneuverable because the rear wheels will pivot slightly in the opposite direction, creating a tighter turning radius. You also have 4 drive modes here, so you have gravel, sand, snow, and rocks, and we're in rock mode here, which they told us to be in, so we're going to be cruising along here on this terrain. This off-road course we're on was originally designed for Land Rover, so you know, BMW, the X5 is really now trying to compete with the Land Rover for off-road capabilities. One of the things that you do when you go into this rock mode is it changes the throttle mapping, so the throttle is much less sensitive. Where you might just tap it to get going in regular drive mode, now you really have to give it the gas if you want it to go up some of these steeper hills. But the good news is it's modulated so that when you give it full throttle, it's not like you're doing full throttle in sport mode.
So here's the wonderful thing to get the help of the front view camera activated.
There it is. See how we've got the front view camera right here, and I can see where I'm going, and I can see right there on the trail, and I don't have to worry about running over anything or not being able to see where I'm going because this hood is so tall and so long. But you see now I'm going towards these, and I can keep myself right in the middle of the trail very easily with this front view camera. And now that the nose is down, I don't need it anymore, and I can just drive. I've got hill descent control on. I've got it set at 3 miles an hour and letting it do its thing. I don't have to touch the brakes. I have my feet off the pedals completely, and it is braking and keeping me at the speed at which we want to go. Okay, there we go. Just be patient and let the car do its thing. That's the thing, people can get too fast with this.
Yeah, nice. Wonderful.
Let it go. Because if you go too fast, then you have to hit the brakes too hard, you lose control of the steering, and the whole car will get out of control. You'll be sideways and rolling over before you know it. Turn that off. One of the things I really like about the new X5 is the full digital instrument cluster here. So you've got your 12.5-inch display here, and this is fully reconfigurable as well, giving you a lot of readouts and options that you can cycle through. Really like the cleanness of this. Everything you need for your drive is right here. Then you've got HVAC here, you've got some programmable buttons here, you also have radio controls, volume control there. This becomes a multi-controller for many things, the map, the radio, whatever screen you're on. And then the fun thing is this home screen now, you have these tiles, so you can have information here, you can have the date, the time, temperature, news alerts, all kinds of good stuff on this. We're going to go back here. This X off-road screen shows you the compass, it shows you the car, all the angle, which wheels are working, the brakes, all that stuff. You can see it shows us we're set at the highest suspension setting, tells us our elevation, all kinds of good stuff here. And you see the depth of these ruts, and yet with this thing in rock mode, and it's up 40 millimeters from its standard setting, it does a nice job of staying clear. We've got some real ruts and other challenges here, but a little acceleration. I've got it in manual mode in second gear, so the car won't shift on me and won't get away from me. One of the fun things about this is a luxury car, so you've got all the leather, all the wood. I've got these cooled seats here, so there you go. I'm setting it up to full cooling mode, which is great. I also have the heated steering wheel. You've got this great stereo system in here. Drove this car on the road this morning, had a lot of good time on the highway. It is certainly quieter, more stable, more confident than the previous generation X5. And this is with the straight 6-cylinder engine. There's a V8 version of this that'll be available that makes about 460 horsepower. And then they will have a hybrid version sometime next year that will also be an e-performance hybrid, so not only will it give you better mileage, but it'll also have great performance. I wouldn't doubt that sometime in the near future they will announce an X5M version of this, which will be much more track oriented. It would probably have the engine from the M5, so you'll see about 600 horsepower in this. They haven't said anything, but I'd go to the bank with that one. The other thing about BMW is they are really out front in terms of digital and connected technology. We had a presentation here about not just what you see here on the dash, but how it integrates with your mobile phone, how BMW's systems and sensors are now all cloud enabled. So if I'm driving this car down the highway and all of a sudden I hit a patch of ice and the ABS goes off, that sensor will send a signal up to BMW's cloud system, and they'll send a warning to other BMW drivers behind me saying, hey, there's ice on the road ahead. It's a way for drivers to help each other even more than programs like Waze and other things, which you have to stop and do all this stuff. It all happens automatically, even to the point where if there's a temporary construction zone, the camera will see the construction sign, read the speed limit of that construction zone, send it up to the cloud, and again, that information will all be relayed to other BMW drivers along that route. You know, we haven't gone over anything too crazy, but certainly some of those hills are pretty steep and it seems to do pretty well. This isn't Rubicon-like, you know, you're not going to go bouldering with a car like this, but it's certainly going to get you through anything you're going to do in an off-road vehicle that costs $80,000. You can see the mud and the rocks that we have to go through here. The Land Rover sign, because this is a former Land Rover course. So if you have a cabin in the woods, you never have to worry about whether or not you'll be able to get there if you have a BMW X5. Even if that would require you to go through some pretty gnarly terrain. I'm quite impressed. I mean, remember, these are street tires on this vehicle. These aren't even off-road tires. It looks like we're getting back to the ranch after a really nice run off a pretty interesting off-road course.